Join me on this 7 miles kayak from Borth to Aberystwyth on the West Wales coast on the 12th of August 2020. Watch on to see what happened when a pea super of a sea mist descended. See me paddle over the causeway to the legendary lost undersea kingdom of Cardigan Bay and how I negotiated around the rocky outcrops off Aberystwyth. I'm on the south beach in Aberystwyth, where I'm hoping to end today's kayak from Borth. The sea is very calm, but it does look very misty. I'm on the train from Aberystwyth to Borth. My inflatable kayak is on the seat next to me. I didn't have to buy a ticket for it though, thankfully. This is the train station in Borth, which is only about 5 or 10 minutes walk from the beach. This kayak was part of our undertaking to paddle all of the 870 miles or so of the Wales coast. This moving map shows the intended 7 miles route of this paddle. As I was inflating my kayak on Borth Beach, the main issue seemed to be the steadily increasing mist, the change in weather forecast, which was now suggesting the possibility of thunderstorms in the afternoon, and the need to ensure that my kayak didn't come up cropper on one of the rocky outcrops off Aberystwyth. My kayak only took about 15 minutes to inflate and another 10 minutes getting myself ready for the off. So let's see how I got on. I've just launched off of Borth Beach and I'm going to paddle about 7 miles to the south to Aberystwyth. It's coming up to 11:45 and I'm looking back towards Borth Beach, which is quite a long pebbly beach which runs for a couple of miles. Borth looks a little bit eerie because of the mist which is descending. It sort of gives it the impression of being like one of those bits of footage from the D-Day landings. Despite being misty, it's very warm, although I did just hear a rumble of thunder. The weather forecast was light winds of about 6 or 7 miles an hour from the west, quite hot, about highs of about 24 degrees. I think I better stay fairly close to the shore on this paddle, because if I go much further out, I'm going to lose my bearings totally. To the south there you can see the headland on the southern end of Borth Beach looming into view. Borth is essentially one long street that runs along the beachfront. Over there you can see where Borth climbs up the slope on the southern end of the village. I got the train from Aberystwyth to Borth so that I could kayak back then to Aberystwyth as a linear one-way kayak. I just heard another rumble of thunder. I really hope it doesn't downpour because I haven't even got a jacket with me. That's the hill on the southern end of Borth, and you can just about make out the First World War memorial on top of it. You can see the sort of typical slate geology of this part of the north section of Cardigan Bay. It's been very quiet so far. I haven't seen any other people kayaking. I don't think anybody else is mad enough to come out in this mist. As you can see, most of this section between Borth and Aberystwyth is comprised of towering slate cliffs. There is the odd beach here and there though. When I'm paddling alone, then I will generally use public transport if I can to get to the start point and then paddle back to my car at the end. I can remember walking this section of the Wales coastal path a few years ago. The path runs along the top of those cliffs over there. It was low tide at about 9:30 this morning, which means technically the tide is coming in, which is running south to north in Cardigan Bay, but it's not very strong on this bit of coast. As well as getting the train between Aberystwyth and Borth, there is of course also a bus service between them. Ahead of me there on the left, where that big house is Wattlog Beach coming up. The private beach of Wattlog has a distinctive pebble bank called Sarn Kinfellin, which stretches out to sea for about 7 miles. You can't see the causeway right now because the tide is in too far, but it's just to the right of that house over there. Sarn Kinfellin looks like a man-made causeway and is linked to the legend of Cardigan Bay, according to which the town was engulfed by the sea. The church bells of the submerged kingdom of Cardigan Bay are said to ring out in times of danger, so I hope I don't hear them today. A couple of miles to the south there, I've got my first view of Aberystwyth just about coming into view. On the left you've got Clarach, which means I'm just over 2/3 of the way along the route. Looking to the south you can just about make out the outline of Aberystwyth. I haven't heard any rumbles of thunder for about half an hour, so I'm hoping that I've managed to avoid the rain. On the left you've got Constitution Hill, which is the large hill on the north side of Aberystwyth. Clarach Beach is about 1.5 miles north of Aberystwyth. You can walk here from Aberystwyth over Constitution Hill, or if the tide is out you can even walk here along the beach. Constitution Hill on the left has got a vernacular railway that runs up it from Aberystwyth. If you are going to walk from Aberystwyth to Clarach along the beach, then as you can see you need to be careful not to get cut off by the tide. If you're in Aberystwyth, then Constitution Hill is worth having a walk up, although it is quite steep. If you can't make it up there, there's also a vernacular railway that goes to the top. It's got great views across the town. So I'm looking south towards the North Beach in Aberystwyth over there, with its Victorian esplanade. Even though I went to university in Aberystwyth and we used to come here for childhood holidays, I've never seen it from this view before. Absolutely amazing. This has got to be one of the best things about kayaking, is the different perspective you get. From my local knowledge of Aberystwyth, I know that there's a rocky outcrop that juts out here, where I am now, just on the northern end of the North Beach by Constitution Hill. I've paddled out a little further to sea to make sure that my kayak doesn't become an inflatable version of the Titanic on the rocky outcrop off of Constitution Hill. Great view of Aberystwyth from here. I can't hear any hissing noises or see any bubbles in the water, so it looks like I've managed to avoid the rocks with my kayak, and also it looks like the mist is clearing a bit. I'm looking back towards Constitution Hill and you can just about make out the station for the vernacular railway up on top. There's also a camera obscura up there. I'm just panning around from the castle, the pier and the old university building on the southern end of the North Beach. Then you've got the esplanade, or the prom or promenade as we call it, and then Constitution Hill on the northern end. I've paddled out to sea a little bit to get around the rocky outcrop that is off the pier, which you can just see over there. You've got to watch the rocks when the water gets lower. That's Aberystwyth Pier, which was built back in 1865. It's got a nice bar terrace at the end of the pier. I've got a good view of Aberystwyth Castle. It was completed back in 1289 over there, and the old college building from 1795. As I was saying earlier, there's a rocky outcrop just off the pier and to the south of it, and you can see some of the rocks sticking out of the water over there. I've managed to round the rocky outcrop off the pier without ripping the kayak up, and I'm looking south towards Aberystwyth Harbour. This is the South Beach in Aberystwyth, where I'm be landing shortly with its brightly coloured houses. Those two large walls and the light beacon mark the entrance to Aberystwyth Harbour. It was low tide at about 9:30 p.m. this morning and high tide about 2:30 p.m. right now, I think. So I've been going against the tide for the journey, which runs south to north in Cardigan Bay when it comes in, but it hasn't made much difference. The tide isn't strong on this section of coast. What a great 7 miles kayak on the Cardiganshire coast. It's part of my undertaking to kayak all the way around the entire Wales coast bit by bit. The mist has cleared up as well, so I'm going to land on the South Beach where my car is parked now. If you got value from this video, then please give us a thumbs up and consider clicking on the left below to subscribe to our channel to get updates of our trip reports and product review videos. Click on the right below to be taken to our playlist of other videos of our paddles around the Wales coast. Please check out our website linked below for blogs of our kayaking journeys together with product reviews and other super useful information. If you have any questions or comments, then please let us know by commenting below. Happy paddling from the kayak crew.